Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott. In this video, we're going to talk about 10 brand new manga releases are coming out this January 2025. Actually 11, I apologize. Different things are on my radar, potentially might be on your radar as well. And I thought, what better way to kick off the new year than doing a new type of series for 2025? YouTube is very kind to let me know that people aren't very happy with you, Scott, and 2024 was not a good year for your subscribers. They want something different. So in that veins, we're going to try a new type of thing where in the next couple of months, you'll see for January, February, March, and April at least, we'll see how it does. Is I want to make things of what you are interested in. So I'm going to highlight for you, these are things that I'm buying as well as things I'm waiting to see some reviews on to see, is this something that I want to check out and pick up myself? So let's go ahead and get started and kick off what are some things that are on my radar that I think should be on as yours as well. And the first I'm actually going to highlight is an oldie but a goodie, and that's because we now have the omnibus for it, and that is Ajin. Now the first omnibus just came out, so in this video I thought sometimes I'll highlight series that are going to end. I'll be highlighting series that now we have an omnibus format, or maybe it's the volume 2 and hey, I really enjoyed volume 1. I'm picking up volume 2. I think it's a great time to start out the series, and things maybe I'm just curious about it. So, and I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I do that a lot. So Ajin is now in an omnibus format, which I really appreciate them doing that. So this is our lovely volume 1 here. So it made it harder to collect these individually. So I really appreciate the omnibus format. Now, one of my first, not my first, but a review video I did of this series of Ajin is one I was more proud of that I can give a link for you below, as you'll see is of Ajin. You click the eye in that right hand corner and I'll link below. You can see what I thought of Ajin, but I thought this was a very good, just ruthless series if you're looking to follow just a really interesting villain. This idea that when people exist, that you actually might be something considered an Ajin, but you don't know until your death. So there's this really interesting setup. The main character automatically in the very beginning gets killed, and then he ends up discovering that he is this Ajin character. Now, they're considered immortal. Now people are going after him, trying to capture him. They want to do experiments on him, and he's on the run for his life. And what I love about this series is they have a villain that is just absolutely ruthless, just really gut-wrenching. So if this is a series you're on the fence, I think with the omnibus format coming out, it's a great time to collect it and pick up the series. You might love the omnibus so much that you just want to get the singles, but if you're trying to save some money, I think this is one that should be on your radar, is definitely Ajin. Let's go ahead and talk about a next series. This is another volume 2 came out. I bought volume 1 because there was going to be a card in it, and I was like, why not? Even though I'm not as big of a Magic Gathering fan, but that's going to be Destroy All Humans. They can't be regenerated. So Destroy All Humans, it talks about Magic the Gathering. There's going to be 17 volumes, so the last volume I believe is about to come out for the series, so it's going to be completed. So it is a bit of an investment, but if you're interested in, now the artwork wasn't something that gripped me right away, but there was a ton of nostalgia. They bring up my favorite video game of all time, Xenogears. They talk about a lot of things that are happening in the 90s. I'm just dating myself here, but I really appreciate the end. I didn't even open it, so it's part of a collector's thing here, is they give you a card on each of them. So I believe at least the first printing of every volume, they're going to give that card for free. I don't know if on a second or third printing they're going to be doing that. So because of that, I was like, dang it, I want that card. I am a collector. So I ended up picking up the series. Now the second volume is coming out. I think the first volume alone you get a bit of an idea. So I do love learning about different things, and even though I was not a big into Magic the Gathering, I knew a lot of people that did. So it's neat to see just a little bit of that nostalgia down memory lane, learning a little more about the game, following these characters here where this girl is very popular, but people don't know that she loves Magic. And then here's our guy here who's nerdy, who's all into Magic, and you see them building a relationship together. So I thoroughly enjoyed the first volume enough. I went and picked up ordered the second volume, so there's that. And then the next one, you've seen this has made my top 10 series that came out last year, so I'm just harping on this more and more. This is a volume 2 as well. Yes, we are going to get to different series that I don't have things for that are going to be brand new total, but this one should definitely be on your radar, and that is Last Quarter. There's going to be 2 of these totals from the same author that gave us Nana. I really enjoyed the first volume here of this series. I'm surprised it hasn't been given an English release before, as you're following this girl here who ends up, we're not sure if she's dead or not, or now she's a ghost, but she fell in love with this boy, and then somehow the boy disappeared, and now she is woken up and she's trapped inside this house like her spirit or a ghost. And then you don't know whether or not how many years it's been, or maybe it's just recent. And then they go ahead, because I don't want to spoil things, then you end up following these children who have discovered this girl. I think they're in junior high, and then they one can see her, the others can't, and they're trying to discover who she is, as this girl is a ghost now inside this house. She doesn't really have her memories. I'm probably butchering. I sold this better last couple times I recommend this series, but I really gripped me. A great 2-in-1 series. I really enjoyed this first one, so I'm really excited they finish it with this one coming out right now. So I highly recommend. If you're asking, Scott, what's the first thing you're going to read when you get all your new series for January? It's going to be, I want to find out how last quarter concludes. Highly recommend. You've got to put this on your radar. All right, next thing that is on my radar, it just seems very popular to do these days, but it's going to be the Vagabond Definitive Edition. Now, Vagabond has the lovely spines, as you can see here. Oh, so good in the big editions that they did. Now we're going to get the special deluxe edition treatment. I'm very intrigued to find out what's going to be different with this in these hardcovers. Vagabond is very popular, and it seems Viz Media, as soon as they reprint it, it just cannot keep it on the shelves. It's something that seems to always sell. Now with seeing Little Black have the deluxe edition, and now we have Ashina no Joe, and we have Trigun. Now we're seeing Viz take their take on what a definitive edition looks like. I can't really think of too many things from Viz Media that has like this type of deluxe edition treatment. And we see this a lot through places like Dark Horse. So I'm very intrigued to check this out. This is on my radar. I could imagine a lot of collectors are going to want to jump and get this right away. And this is one of those ones where if you're thinking of double dipping, this is probably the first series I might want to double dip and actually get in definitive edition, even though I love the spines, I love the Viz, the big edition. So this one is heavy on my radar. I'm sure it's on yours as well. Next is a volume 1. I was actually a bit surprised that Viz announced this a while back, but it's going to be Ruy Dragon, the first volume. I think we're at the second volume is now in Japan, or maybe we're at the third. You can see this on the Viz Media app, but this is just I thoroughly enjoy the story. Many laugh out loud moments through each chapter as you're following this girl that discovers that she is part dragon, and in her adolescence of being in school, she's starting to develop, almost kind of like going through puberty, but having these powers where she sneezes and fire comes out, and she's just trying to live everyday life, even though there's this weirdness going on. And just the humor itself, parts of it remind me of Chainsaw Man, but without the Chainsaw Man part of just, you know, killing people left and right, but just some very funny. Even the artwork as well reminds me a little bit of Chainsaw Man, so I'm not exactly sure why, because it seems kind of weird with that. But I've had many moments that I'm just thoroughly laughing and enjoying this series as you're following her just trying to make it through school. As she's developing these dragon powers, she's accidentally zapping people as she now discovers she has electricity, and you're just following her along the journey along the way. I really also appreciate the dynamic relationship that she has with her mom. So I'm really surprised that we got a physical release for this already. I thought the first 10 chapters alone were definitely worth getting this volume 1. So that's another one I recommend. If you're curious on that, check it out on the Viz Media app. You can release the first 3 chapters for free. So Ruy Dragon's one I highly recommend checking out. Next, let's talk about one. You can see the first couple of ones were on, I think, Comic Oxley. I'm butchering that, but there's a Comic Oxley website thing that had many of the first chapters for free. And when I read that when it was first announced, I'm like, wow, this is so good. And that is going to be actually a shoujo series, and that is Firefly Wedding. Now, this series actually has to do with this girl who's sickly, and then an assassin is going to assassinate her, and then there's other people along the way that are also trying to assassinate her, and she convinces him that, hey, I'll stay with you. If you protect me, I'll make it worth your while. So really good artwork, really good pacing in the beginning. I was just like, oh snap, phenomenal. I'm surprised this isn't a shown series or more in the same series, but instead of it's a shoujo. But I really enjoyed the first couple of chapters that I read. So this one I instantly pre-ordered right away. I cannot wait to get my hands on this and read the rest of it physically for the first time, and actually tell you more of my thoughts in a future video when we do my hauls, which if you've seen my hauls before, I explain everything that I did read, what I thought about each volume, and this is one I cannot wait to get my hands on and read. Now, the next manga that's on my radar is called Silence, and this is a story that reminds me a little bit like A Quiet Place, which takes in modern times, the movie. This is instead it's about the story of this village that they learn that monsters roam, and then monsters can, if they can hear you by your voice or your tracks, if you're not silent, they can go ahead and easily find you and attack you. So this village that's been kind of on their own for 30 plus years, the only way they know how to communicate is they use sign language instead. And when they go fight the monsters, somebody comes into the village and lets them know that, hey, there is a new way to actually destroy the monsters. And instead of being necessarily silent, but is becoming monsters themselves. So it has a lot of interesting folklore in this. A lot of mythical folklore, which I thought was interesting. So the cover itself looks great. So this is one I'm thoroughly excited, and I can't wait to go ahead and get the first volume. All right, now next one, we're going to do another volume 2. The first one I just got. Now, I've been grateful. Yen Press usually sends me volume 1 releases, but for some reason they chose not to send this for a particular month when it came out, so I was a little bit bummer. So I went and picked this up on my own because I thought I was really going to enjoy it, and this will actually be on my next haul video, but you'll see this one first, and that is SS Class Revival Hunter. What I like about this series is not necessarily Ego to the Max yet, which I'm sure is going to happen like a Tomb Raider King or solo leveling. It has that same scratch if you like solo leveling or you like SS perks of an SS class heroine. You're going to probably, this will be that same vein, but there's this idea that where now this tower exists and the main character just has a desire to be number one. There's this person right now who has a really good perk, and for some reason they're the only person who's ever been able to climb the tower the most, let alone by themselves, and he just deeply desires to be like this person, and then somehow he is able to get an ability for this tower. Reminds me a little bit also of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, so if you like that series as well, it scratches the same itch here as this person he has the opportunity where he ends up going back in time before the beginning of the tower. He has all this additional knowledge, kind of like Tomb Raider King, and now he's trying to change things to be able to go ahead and survive the tower himself, which he's not very good at. There's people that he remembers them before they became all powerful. He starts befriending them. There are people he knows are villains and tries to take them out early and then justify his cause for taking them out. And obviously, in the very beginning, there's a lot in this first volume. Things are immediately changing now because he's changing the past, it's changing the future, and things that happen aren't necessarily what dictated from the past. So I really enjoyed the first volume. The second one comes out mid-January. It's one that I am so excited to check out. I think it's one that deserves your view as well. It's something that you will want to check out and read as well. Again, if you're looking for another thing to scratch that same itch, like solo leveling, like Omniscient Viewer Point, like Tomb Raider King, I think this is going to be right up your alley. Next one I have on my radar is Takahashi from the Bike Shop. This is actually a Josei series, and what I'm excited about this one, it actually focuses an adult cast. I believe she's about 30 years old, and she's trying to find herself. She's riding a rusty bike, ends up bumping into this guy, and I just appreciate the adult antics. There's so much manga out there that focuses on just high school antics, growing up, adolescence, now they're going into college, and there's just not as much just looking through just life through an adult setting. Not the idea of adults being just sake for adult content, but just adults in general. And someone in my 30s myself, yes, I'm dating myself here, I'm really interested in seeing those type of stories unfold. So I think this is going to be, just looks really interesting. I've heard good things from people who've had a chance to, as an early preview copy of this one. So it was really good. So this is one I'm excited to check out and read as well. Next one on my radar, they do say you should not judge a book by its cover, but I've definitely done with this one, and that is The Color of the End. And it is a post-apocalyptic series, and it's only 3 volumes total, and man, just it looks absolutely gorgeous, the cover of this one. This is going to be from Yen Press. I'm so excited to deep dive into this one. I hope it's something they send me. If not, it's one I'm going to want to order. Just again, for 3 volumes and just the setting of it, I really love post-apocalyptic series, and just this one just really intrigued me by the artwork and just the cover alone. And the last one, I know I said 10, but this is 11, so maybe just put it as a little gimme or an extra. This is by Udon, but is Mr. Mega Man, and this is following Mega Man as an adult. Just nostalgia growing up, someone that grew up with the Super Nintendo. I loved Mega Man for the Super Nintendo. It was incredibly hard. It was always hard, but so satisfying destroying those boss battles. And yes, not Nintendo, so not dating myself too much, but I was interested. It just seems kind of cheesy. I guess he's a dentist in this, but you know, and the other main characters in, like Top Man, and the fire guy, they're all in it too, as they have different jobs and everything, is just trying to live life now as an adult and keep that past behind. I know that Capcom has done things just to help with the series as well. So I thought the cover looked really good for this one. I'm interested in seeing how Mega Man's now trying to live through life, and you know, it seems like dark, sinister stuff is always behind the corner. So Udon Entertainment has done they've curated some really interesting titles, kind of like they did Summertime Rendering. So I'm curious to see what they do with Mr. Mega Man. I don't know anything about the series whatsoever than the little bit I just gave you. So because of that, that's one that I'm also intrigued on my radar as well. So that's all I have. I'd love to know in the comments below, what are some manga that is on your radar? Maybe something that I missed that should be on my radar that's coming out this month. I want to do at least just 10 that were like, man, these are things I really think will scratch the itch that are coming out this January. A lot of them just brand new releases or going through releases of Volume 2. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.